Help me to reach 2,000 subscribers. I laughed, a little too loud, a little too intentionally, as I leaned closer across the breakfast table. You know, I said, brushing a strand of hair behind my ear. If Daniel keeps looking at me like that, I might start thinking he's got a thing for me. I expected the usual, his warm, teasing chuckle, a playful shake of the head, the corners of his eyes crinkling with amusement. But the silence that hit me was sharp, unexpected, a cold weight pressing against my chest. He didn't blink. He didn't speak. He just stared, his mouth a thin line, eyes dark and unreadable. The fork in my hand hovered mid-air. I laughed again, nervous this time. What? You're not even. He cut me off with a single word, low and deliberate, stop. The heat of embarrassment mixed with panic. Something was off. My pulse raced as I tried to rationalize it. Maybe he was tired. Maybe it was stress. Maybe I had crossed a line without realizing it. I tried to meet his eyes, searching for any hint of the man I'd married, but all I found was a cold, silent distance that made my stomach churn. The day passed in a haze. Every little sound, the click of the washing machine, the distant hum of traffic, the faint rustle of leaves outside, felt amplified, a warning. He moved through the house quietly, almost deliberately avoiding me. At first, I told myself I was imagining things, reading too much into his mood. But then came the messages. Notifications flashing on his phone while it lay casually on the counter. One word repeated again and again. A name I didn't recognize. Denial became my shield. Surely, I thought, it was nothing. Work friends. A misunderstanding. My heart thudded violently each time his phone buzzed, yet I forced a smile whenever he looked at me, insisting, silently, that this was paranoia. But the tightness in his jaw, the way he avoided me, the sudden coldness of his touch, it was like walking through fog, uncertain if I'd stumble into truth or remain in comforting lies. Then, that night, the final unraveling. I returned early from a late dinner with friends, deciding to surprise him. The lights were dim, the house quiet, but in the living room, the sight stopped me cold. My husband, his head close to another woman's, lips brushing her hair, hands tangled in a betrayal I had only feared in whispers. Their laughter, soft, intimate, a sound meant for each other, burned through me, a flame devouring the last vestiges of trust. I stood frozen, heart hammering, unable to breathe. Rage and heartbreak collided in my chest. Part of me wanted to scream, fling every piece of furniture across the room, demand answers. Another part wanted to vanish, disappear from the scene of the crime I had lived in, believing in a love that no longer existed. He turned at the creak of the floorboard, eyes widening, not in guilt, not in shame, but in surprise at my presence. And I saw it all, the choice he had made, the countless lies leading to this moment. My body shook, tears stinging, rage and sorrow tangled so tightly I couldn't separate them. Why? I whispered, voice breaking. He didn't answer. How could he? Words could not undo what I had witnessed. Every shared memory, every promise, every laugh felt tainted, rewritten by the cruelty of a single decision. I realized then that some betrayals don't announce themselves. They seep quietly, subtly, until one day, you wake up standing in the ruins of everything you thought you knew. I left the house that night without a word, the cold night air shocking my skin, grounding me in reality. Every step away was a mixture of liberation and devastation. I knew the trust one had built, piece by fragile piece, was gone, and that I could never look at him, or myself, the same way again. The laughter, the playful jokes, the intimacy, it had all been a mask, a cruel illusion, and now I was left to navigate the shards. Sometimes, I still replay that morning in my head, the joke, the silence, the way his eyes didn't twinkle. That pause, that wordless moment, had been the first fracture. And I had been too blind, too trusting, to see it until it had shattered completely.